If the police come to your house with an arrest warrant for a person who does not live there. If the police open up, we're looking for Pretty Ricky. Ricky's my brother. He doesn't live here and he's not here right now. Well, here's a copy of the warrant. Now step aside. And they don't have a search warrant. You don't give consent and there are no exigent circumstances. This is an arrest warrant. Do you have a search warrant for my house? We don't need one. Now step aside before I arrest you for obstruction. When you know your rights, you can spot their wrongs. Watch what she does next. No. They can't search your house. Says who? Safisha. She's an attorney who teaches people about their rights, so I know what you're trying to do is wrong. That's why I follow her. Hey, I'm Safisha. Yes, I'm really an attorney, and that's really the law. It comes from a case called Steagald versus the United States, and it all started with a man named Ricky Lyons. See, Ricky was wanted by the feds on drug charges when a confidential informant contacted the DEA in Detroit and said, look, I've got a phone number where you can reach Ricky in Atlanta for the next 24 hours. So the Detroit DEA contacted the Atlanta DEA, and the Atlanta DEA contacted the phone company and got an address associated with the phone number. 12 DEA agents pulled up on the house where they found two men standing outside. They held them at gunpoint and frisked them, demanding their identification. Neither was Ricky, but one was named Steagald, and this was his house. So the police went to the door. They knocked and a woman answered. She says, oh, no one's in here. I'm here by myself. They're like, anyway, up against the wall. And they held her in that position while an agent searched the house for Ricky. The agent didn't find Ricky. What the agent did see was what he suspected to be cocaine. So the agent went outside and told the second agent that he thought he saw cocaine in the house. The second agent sent a third agent to get a search warrant. While there was still no search warrant, the second agent went into the house to conduct a second search. When they finally got the search warrant, the agents went back through the house. This time they searched and found 43 pounds of cocaine. Naturally, Steagald, remember the guy who's not Ricky, who's outside, but this is his house? Steagald was arrested and indicted on federal drug charges. So when Steagald went to court, he said, Judge, they can't use this evidence against me. They entered my house without my consent. They searched my house without a warrant, and that's unreasonable. Don't I have a right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures? And the government responded, what do you mean unreasonable? This search was reasonable. There was a warrant. Remember, we had an active warrant for Ricky's arrest. So the Supreme Court had to decide whether or not the police could enter Steagald's house and search with an arrest warrant for Ricky. In considering this question, the court considered the purpose generally of warrants, right? The court said, listen, the main purpose of warrants is so that someone other than the police can make a determination as to whether or not the police can go arrest someone or whether they can search somewhere. That person has to be a neutral, detached judge, right? Someone who's not interested in the crime-fighting process, because by the very nature of their work, police officers, they fight crime. And sometimes when that's your whole job, then you can get tunnel vision. You're only focused on the end goal of catching, your quote unquote criminal. And when you're focused on just that goal, it's easy to sometimes miss the big picture and ensure that other people's rights are not violated in the process. That's why there has to be a neutral, detached judge. It's got to be someone who's not out there fighting crime with the police, who can objectively look at the facts and make the determinations. So then the court further differentiated between arrest warrants and search warrants because they serve different functions. So an arrest warrant is usually obtained after a detached magistrate makes the determination that there's probable cause for that a person has committed a crime. And so they say, okay, yes, police, you can go, arrest that person for that crime. So basically arrest warrants protect people from like unreasonable seizures, basically of their bodies, right? Then you have search warrants. Usually you get a search warrant after the police go to a judge and the judge says, okay, there's probable cause to believe that something that you're looking for, police, is going to be located in this location, right? So that typically protects people against unfair, intrusions into their homes, right? Into their vehicles, into their property and their possessions. So the court said, okay, here you guys had a warrant to arrest Ricky. So fine, you can go ahead and you can arrest Ricky. But the police wanted to do more than just arrest Ricky. They wanted to go into Steagald's home to arrest Ricky. And so the court said, look, in its reasoning, the process protected Ricky. So if Ricky was to come now and say, hey, listen, I was arrested on an arrest warrant, but it was in violation of my rights to be free from illegal searches and seizures, then they said, no, Ricky, your rights were not violated, right? The process was in place. The judge looked at it. Everything is A-okay. But the same could not be said for Steagald because Ricky's process did not mention Steagald. So there had been no judicial determination that the police could find what they were looking for in Steagald's house. The only ones who made that determination that they could go in Steagald's house was the police themselves, and that's a no-go. So in this particular case, the court said no. In order to search Steagald's house, you needed to have a warrant, and when you didn't have a warrant, the search of his house was unreasonable, and everything you found has got to be thrown out. So that's how we know, really, is thanks to Steagald, and I guess thanks to Ricky Lyons, that we all know that if the police come to your house with an arrest warrant for a person who does not live there, you don't give consent, they don't have a search warrant, and there are no exigent circumstances, they can't search your house.